Hey everyone, and welcome to the new episode of Full Funnel Live. Today I'm going to chat with our beautiful guest, Lauren Goodell, basically founder and CEO at Zinnia and ex-enterprise account executive at Microsoft. So we have not a typical let's say, topic for our B2B marketing podcast, right? So we are going to talk about how to generate enterprise deals with human first selling, but we're going to take another angle or perspective, right? Thinking about marketing enablement, how marketing can help sellers as well with the human first selling, right? And considering Lauren's experience, I think we'll have a fantastic perspective and fantastic chat. As always, guys, you are very welcome to ask any questions in the chat. We'll pick them up and cover them. And Lauren, thanks a lot for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. It's be fun.
Guys, let us know, please, in the chat. First of all, what's your role? Are you in marketing or in sales? I'm just curious to see what is the proportion today between marketers and sellers. So maybe it was my bad just thinking about how to cover this from CMO's perspective. But anyhow, let's see what is your role. Jury, sales, partnerships. Cool. Thanks a lot for sharing. Let us know, guys, as well. I'm just curious to see. And meanwhile, you are typing. What I'm just thinking about where we can kick it off. You spent nearly a decade at Microsoft and Salesforce, right, as an enterprise account executive, managing multi-million portfolios, achieving top-tier results. And you have definitely seen sales reps who kind of treat every interaction with the buyers as an opportunity to pitch, right? You connect on LinkedIn, you do the pitch slap, and you meet people at you try to immediately pitch your product, right? So we all know this behavior. And like the sales reps who are thinking long term, who try to build a relationship, right, which is essential in enterprise sales. And I know you are preaching being human first as well with your new product. But being human first and doing social selling means changing the mindset from always be pitching, right? So I have questions here. First of all, how do you change the mindset of your sales team?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with this is that at the end of the day, we're all human. And so you can go in and you can pitch to somebody and you can share their product, but it's more important to understand who they are before you ever have a conversation. And the way that I used to approach it back in my Microsoft days was I would actually do the first couple months of every fiscal year, do what I would call no sales calls. So I would invite them to lunch. I would invite them for a walk or a coffee, get our nails done, just crazy different things. And it was all about, hey, like, who is Andre? What's important to you? What's your goal in your role this year? What's keeping you up at night? How can I support you? And never even pitch anything Microsoft. And the goal of that was just to better understand who they were and so that they would come to me first if they ever needed anything. And so when you talk about changing the mindset of a team, I think the number one most important thing is showing the results of what happens when you actually lead human first. And it's not going to be immediate. Of course, you're going to get some shorter transactional deals if you pitch, but over longer periods of time, showing the data that actually proves that actually caring about the other human is really what works.
That makes perfect sense. By the way, guys, I'm just dropping a link to Lauren's profile on LinkedIn and her product, Zinnia, the sales acceleration platform. So you can check it out. I think it's something that will make much more sense while we'll be flowing through this conversation, because we'll be sharing tons of different examples for you. And thanks a lot, guys, for sharing. It's nice to see that we have a healthy mix between marketing and sales. So that's going to be interesting. Now, the second question that I would love to ask you, probably the harder one. So imagine for a second you are a CMO or B2B CMO, right? Selling enterprise, high ACV product, long sales cycle, like a lot of buying committee members. And you see this problem internally, right? And you can't influence it because, like you said, you need to have the results, but like you have the choices. You need either to start selling to prove that it works, right? Or you need to have another solution. So if you were a B2B CMO, right, in this scenario, what would you do? How would you try to ignite that shift, if you will?
So I think this is twofold. One is how you prepare your sellers, and then two is how you lead by example. And the first one is preparing your sellers, being able to provide playbooks. So every sales org I've worked in or led, we've always had playbooks of, okay, if this person is a CMO and you're selling to a CMO, do this. If this person is a VP of sales, do this. If this person is in this industry, here's the playbook. But I think where CMOs have a really unique opportunity is instead of saying, I'm going to, segment them by industry, by size, by role, how about we start segmenting them by tenure? If they're newer to role, then you want to make them the hero. If they've been in the role for a long time, it's more about change management, and the change isn't scary. And so we need to start shifting our approach from segmenting from what it looks like on a resume into who somebody is as a person. There's a lot of psychology that goes into the way that somebody shakes your hand. If they're going to be more dominant, you sell to them very differently than if they are more of a relational type person. And so CMOs have this unique opportunity when creating these playbooks to say, okay, not all CMOs should be treated alike. Not all manufacturing industries should be treated alike. It really comes down to the person on the other side of the screen or the call. And so when building out those playbooks, kind of catering it towards that. But the second part of it, which I think is way more important, is leading by example. So I have a rule for all of my employees that they need to end every call with the same question. And we do this to each other. We do this with customers. We do this with my investors. And it's, how can I support you? And that does not mean, how can I support you by selling you more software or, doing anything with customer success? Maybe that's, hey, you're hiring for a different sales role. I have somebody in my network that might want it. Maybe it's, hey, you need a list of industry best practices or a spreadsheet example for something you can use for setting commissions, like something that we may not even touch, but it all comes down to how can you support the other human. And so when you're leading by example, it's not only asking and showing that that's what you do with your clients, but also with your employees and your staff and things like that.
Thank you. I love it. And am I correct just to say that to actually implement this, you need a couple of things in place? First of all, you need to have regular sync meetings, marketing and sales, right? Involving account executives, SDRs, depending on the company's organization, right? Which leads us to actionable account planning. And instead of saying, hey, let's implement one more nurturing cadence or one more outbound cadence, how can we help the specific person from the buying committee, right? That's the first one. And the second one, it's planning together what can be valuable for these people, which kind of shifts the narrative from what we want to say, right? We are leading platform, we are doing this and that, our experts created this content and you guys are supposed to consume it, to what these people are actually needing today, right? And how can we deliver this? Am I correct with this to summarize?
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on. And this is always the constant, I don't want to say battle, but maybe battle that, marketing and sales go head to head with so many different things of like, oh, we bring you the MQLs, and salespeople are like, no, you don't, right? But more and more, the clients we work with are marketing and sales the ones that are doing really well are integrated super well. And they think of each other as, best friends of how can we partner together to drive awareness, to move deals forward, most importantly, serve our people.
Love it. Thank you. So one interesting fact that I have noticed in your About section on LinkedIn, you mentioned, so I'm just citing it, I experienced this firsthand while selling long, complex deals at Microsoft and Salesforce, juggling back-to-back meetings, internal deal reviews, and endless manual tasks made personalizing a sales process difficult. But the biggest deals I won, I had done the research. I knew the name of my buyer's docs. I knew how the CFO was compensated. I knew the company's biggest initiatives and how could we help. I knew whether or not they would appreciate my jokes, right? So I would love to chat about this a little bit. First of all, how do you run this research and what's your process?
So, I mean, that's the whole thing of catering a conversation to somebody else and, kind of code switching or matching. And I am a very casual person. I'm very laid back. I also love bad dad jokes and silly humor. And so if a salesperson came to me and was selling me something and they were super serious and they were all, super technical or just really focused on the facts, I would be like, hey, like, let's have a little bit of fun here. But conversely, if I'm selling to a CFO who is really serious and is focused on the numbers and I'm cracking jokes, they're not going to want to work with me. And so it's really about understanding the person on the other side. And so historically, what I used to do would be, look up Bob on Facebook, look him up on different social media sites. How does he post? What's important to him? Did he get an award for a local men's basketball league, right? Did he post pictures of his kids? Or does he love to travel? Like all of these little anecdotes are not about me being like, hey, by the way, I saw you went to Paris with your family last week, because that's creepy. It's more of like, okay, this person was adventurous. So that's starting to tell me some of his personality traits. Oh, he posts funny jokes. Okay, so I know that I can be myself around, these meetings. And obviously there's that social, those soft skills, that side. But then it's also important to understand what drives them in their role. And so if a company is public, I would read a company's 10K or annual report, understanding what is driving their business decisions. But also there's a little section where you can see where any executives, how they're compensated, how they'll get their annual bonus. So if in there it says, the CFO is compensated by increasing margin by 10% this year, gets his annual bonus, then it's important for me to show, even if that's not the main ROI of my product, how I can put money back in his or her own pocket. So it's really about doing the whole analysis of the research there.
Love it. How would you address the biggest, I don't know how to say, concern, challenge, or maybe the desire of modern marketing and sales teams to automate this process immediately with AI, right? Because it's easy, you can ask, doesn't matter what tool you are using, right? But then AI will bring you the research, all the judgment, etc. But I feel, like you said, just manually checking this helps you to understand better who you are talking to, right? Because otherwise you are just delegating all the judgment to AI. So I'm just wondering, how do you address this? How would you explain the benefits of it when literally nobody wants to do the manual research anymore?
Yeah. I always say trust but verify. So, we built Zinnia to automate a lot of those manual tasks that we would do of going out and searching those 13 different data points of who this person is, all of that kind of stuff. But it will also be looking at, them and using your discernment and using your judgment. So where AI comes in is, yes, it reduces a lot of the manual tasks, but what we need to do is then apply our own judgment here and saying, okay, yes, there's context. I need to make sure if this says that this person is an Olympic athlete, I want to make sure that they are really an Olympic athlete, because I will lose credibility and trust if I bring in something that's incorrect. But where there's so many automations out there with, sequences, cadences, mass email campaigns, using that one-liner of personalization that we often talk about. Like, hey, I see that you went to Nebraska. That's great. Will you buy this, new shopping cart? And I'm like, what are you talking about? This has nothing to do with it. So where AI and automation is really good is for awareness, brand awareness, market awareness. So cadences and sequences still have an important place. It takes a lot of touch points for people to understand who you are as a company, but then taking that one step further. Oh, has somebody opened that sequence or cadence multiple times? Has it been forwarded? Now is the time to spend a little bit more time digging in and understanding who they are.
Love it. Thank you so much. By the way, guys, I drop the link in the chat to our Full Funnel Summit, where Lauren as well would be presenting as one of the speakers in our ABM track. So as you know, we just announced it officially yesterday. We'll be hosting it in 1 month on 24th to 26th of March. So make sure to sign up and bring your teams. It would be fantastic. The lineup is really, really great this year. So looking forward to meeting everybody there. And you mentioned you love jokes. So what's your favorite bad joke about marketing and sales collaboration?
Ooh, you're putting me on the spot here. Well, I think let me come back to that one.
Sure, sure. So we can definitely cover it later. But anyhow, so we covered, you mentioned like when it makes sense to use AI, right? And when it makes sense to dig a little bit deeper manually. So what I'm wondering is how marketing can help with this process basically, and what marketing can handle for sales.
Yeah, so I think this comes back down to building those playbooks is one of those big things, right? Is as a marketer, that's a big part of your job is one, message cohesion. So sellers go rogue sometimes. I know that as a seller who has gone rogue and made up my own, messaging and things like that, where marketing is like, Lauren, this is not what we were planning on doing. But marketers are rock stars at copy. They're rock stars at being able to add a story in that seems relevant and also positions the company and the products and the services in the best light. And so when you're putting together those playbooks of how to approach somebody, again, I think it comes down to taking it one step further and not just focusing on the overarching resume, but focusing on how do you sell to different people in different contexts.
Make perfect sense. And what do you think about signals? Because everybody talking today about signal-based GTM, or you like need to integrate different signals, first party, third party, right, into marketing and sales motions. Who should own this, and whether it's like obviously from your perspective, should it be on the marketing side or sales side?
I'm going to go back to saying that I think that sales and marketing today should be completely intertwined. It should be hard to tell who's on what team, and that's why I think most companies are moving towards that go-to-market team model versus marketing in a sales org. But I will say when you look at signals, the way that we structure it is that our marketing team owns inbound signals. So where somebody went to a landing page, showed up to a webinar like this, right? If they commented on a LinkedIn post, like those are inbound signals of intent. But I think the sales team, actually, it's equally as important for them to own signals or negative signals. So in a sales process, for example, I often will send somebody a thanks, which is like a small like little gift that goes to their email. And I'll send them a thanks a latte, which is a gift card for a coffee. And the negative signal is if they don't redeem it, they probably aren't going to move forward. And those are signals people often forget. And so that's really where I think the sales teams need to lean in throughout the sales process versus having marketing bring those inbound ones as well.
Love it. Thank you so much. By the way, we have one joke from Judy for you. Why don't skeletons ever go to the movies? Because they have nobody to go with.
Judy, I don't know you yet, but I love you already. So a whole box. We're going to be best friends. This is great.
Thanks a lot for sharing. So at Zinnia's website, I read a testimonial from Andy White, VP of Sales at Trivia, right? So, and he said something like, we closed a Fortune 100 deal 2 months earlier than expected because we had the right point of view going into procurement negotiations, which you already mentioned, right? The POV. Can you walk us through, please, through your process of building POV and share how, like, what's the marketing role here, right? How they can help?
Yeah. So walking into a customer with a point of view is one of the biggest differentiators in today's world, because now 70% of a sales cycle is actually completed before they ever talk to a sales rep. Before, people would call me up at Microsoft and say, hey, we want to buy Azure for the first time. We want to move to the cloud. What does this mean? What are the cost implications? Do I have to hire somebody new? Should I be scared? They would call me first. Now they go to ChatGPT. Now they go to the company website. Now they go to all these other things. And so when they're coming in with a preconceived notion, they're not wanting to talk to a sales rep to be able to learn. They're wanting to come to a sales rep for knowledge. And the difference between that is this isn't facts. This isn't here's the step-by-step. This is you are now the expert. How can you have a prescriptive solution? And so we've actually had clients come to us and say, hey, we want to buy Zinnia for 500 sellers. And we'll actually pause and say, hey, hold on a second. Like, let's learn a little bit more. I want to do a little bit more discovery. And I find out that if they rolled out today, it wouldn't be successful. They don't have the right groundwork in place. And so it's about coming in with a prescriptive point of view and saying, we would love for you to purchase and become a customer, but more importantly, let's do X, Y, and Z first for us to get there. So POV is all about building trust, helping people understand the right solution for them. And marketing can really come in and help with that positioning. And so sellers are really good at being able to fit a solution into a budget. Marketers can really help tell that story and build out that ROI and say, this is why we think we should get there. And that's where the two coming together is really, truly magic.
Love it. So a couple of questions here. Does it mean that every sales rep must be a subject matter expert / have depth domain knowledge?
I think. Sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to say why I'm asking this, because like 15 years ago, everybody bought in the predictable revenue model, right? Which was all about hire more SDRs, send more sequences, call more people, etc., and then pass this to account executives who are supposed to have the domain knowledge, or they can bring just somebody from product, right, or some internal, let's say, sales architects if they're selling the technical products, just to help with the sales process. This is kind of the context, right? So I'm wondering, what are your thoughts? Does that mean that every sales rep today must have the domain knowledge or no?
So I think that intelligence is now baseline. Every sales rep should have become the expert in their own products or services. Every sales rep should have the answers, simply because everybody else will have the answers. And what I mean by that is, LLMs and AI is crazy. Like any information that's out there, any case study that's out there, if you have Copilot, if you have ChatGPT, if you have any of those things, you should have the information at your fingertips. Now, this is the same kind of use case as teachers used to say, you're not going to have a calculator in your pocket. You need to be able to do math. Now we have a full computer at our pocket. And so it doesn't necessarily mean remember every statistic from every case study, but being able to use your resources. Yes, intelligence is important, being a subject matter expert, but more importantly, being an advisor on the best practices, how to move forward, and being able to feel comfortable giving that advice.
Love it. And also, what I'm wondering, everything that we have discussed so far, right? Just to be able to build this point of view, right? You need to build some trust, some rapport with your buying committee. And that leads me to a couple of questions that I want to discuss with you about the enterprise marketing and sales playbooks. So, let's just take the default number. Enterprise deals are in between 12 to 18 months. And the typical playbook is, right, marketing builds awareness, generates the MQLs, maybe in the best scenario, generate the inbound pipeline, maybe influence the early engagement, and then sales take over these leads and marketing essentially disappears, right? Then we know what happens next. 6 months later, the deal stalls, the champion goes quiet, nobody knows why, and we have the problem of blaming each other, right? So this is where I would love to dig deeper and to get your perspective. So from the seller's perspective, when did you actually feel marketing's awareness work, and what made you think, okay, marketing made this easier versus I did this despite marketing?
Yeah, I've been lucky because Microsoft and Salesforce had rockstar marketing teams. And obviously my team at Zinnia is wonderful as well. But working at large companies, having these, very delineated organizations, the marketing teams I worked with where I was like, dang, this was a really good partnership was, of course, we all want inbound leads. We all want inbound leads that we feel like are qualified, that want to have good conversations with us. But they never came from, in my experience, a large mass outbound campaign. It came from really targeted marketing projects. And what I mean by that is, at one point at Salesforce, I said, hey, I've got a book of business and I've got some customers that are using us today, and I have some that aren't, but I want them to be. And I would like to create a virtual award ceremony. Marketing, can you help me with this? And so we nominated a bunch of our prospects to become award winners. And then we had a virtual award ceremony where we gave awards to some of our prospects and some of our current customers for great marketing campaigns they had, or a cool e-commerce site, or things like that. And it was so silly. It was like these little trophies that we sent out, but it was all about, hey, how can I work with marketing who can execute an awesome event to be able to drive that awareness, build that pipeline. And then we end up closing a heck of a lot of deals from that. And so it's really those partnerships where you can lean in together and say, you're an expert at putting on events and making this flow seamlessly. I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but I know the right people to bring in the room. How can we bring this all together and partner? So I think it's about getting creative and just kind of building that partnership.
I love it. And honestly, this is like what I feel is very different about today, right? We all came up to these creative solutions without AI, without ChatGPT telling us what to do, or even outlining the entire account engagement plan, right? So we were just thinking together, okay, how can we do this? How can we attract the attention of these people? How can we build that relationship, right? And that worked. And what is really important here is, like you said, you didn't just sit down with marketing. Okay, so what would be the best personalization to put into this kind of outbound cadences to sell to these people our software, right? It was, okay, how can we attract their attention first and build that relationship, which is fantastic. Which leads me to the second question. Today, do you think creating account awareness and, generally speaking, creating brand awareness, is it purely marketing responsibility, or marketing and sales must working together on this?
No, I think they always have to work together. They always have to work together. Like I said, there's different skill sets, and that's why we have different roles and titles. But ultimately, I as a seller have information that a marketer doesn't, because I'm close to the field. I talk to the customers every single day. And from the flip side, marketers are seeing, mass numbers, campaigns. They're seeing what's working and what's not, where I'm so in the weeds sometimes that I may not see that. And so I think it's so, so important to be able to partner those kind of things together. But yeah, I mean, with that, there's that's why we have different roles and different titles.
So if we'll think, I just would love to get your take here. If I'll think about the role of sales reps, SDRs, account executives, even sales leadership, what they should do, or how they should work on creating account awareness. And why I'm asking, because last year we ran the state of full funnel B2B marketing research, and we actually spoke to, like, I can't recall the exact number, but close to 80 sales leaders. And all of them complain that lack of account awareness is the #1 problem that they wish marketing would help with. So that's why I'm asking. I'm just curious, from your perspective, what exactly sales could do to create account awareness?
I mean, I will always, always, always be a proponent of social selling. And if you're not familiar with social selling, social selling is about building relationships with your customers, not, not just through emails and meetings and things like that. It's also about building relationships through comments and likes and content. And so as a seller, you have the capability of being your own marketer as well. And you have a platform through things like LinkedIn, where you can share best practices, case studies, stories from the field. And that is another way for you to be able to continue to drive awareness. Again, what you want to do is be top of mind. And so when somebody says, I'm ready to buy this marketing solution, I'm ready to buy or get a keynote speaker for this conference. Oh, Lauren posts about that all the time. So she's going to be the first person I call, because I see that constantly. So that's really where that social selling, content creation comes in.
Love it. And I totally agree. It's something that it's just the essential part of any ABM program that we're doing, and we're just integrating the account-based content strategy, making it really account-based and enabling sales to be in front of their prospects, right? Why? Because, I mean, if we look today, right, so it's not a surprising fact anymore. The drop is getting down everywhere. The organic reach on all social platforms, the organic reach from Google, right? So today, just to even to be noticed, it's really difficult. And if we think about any channels, who has the best network if we're going to create the content, right? Sales, because they're connecting with these people every single day, right?
Mhm.
But they have literally two choices. They can just promote purely, let's say, marketing content in a sense like, this is what we want to say. We produce this. We don't really care if it matters to you, but we just think it's important, right? Or we start talking about something that is relevant to these people. There are jobs to be done, or like you said, if they are new, right? So, for example, the like first 90 days to be in a specific role, right? Or like how to initiate the change management in the organization, right? For more mature leaders, etc. And this is essential because then it is something that sales can use to ignite the conversation, right, with these buyers. Hey, we produced that asset. Is it resonating? Would you change something, right? Just involving people to start the conversation and seeing what even like the thing that you have created, if it resonates or not at all, right? So which is essential. So love it.
Absolutely.
And thanks a lot for sharing. I'm just also wondering, from your experience of winning these deals, how do you need to nurture the buyers across long sales cycle, right? Because quite often marketing also thinks in terms of campaigns, or more precisely quota campaigns, right? We'll do this drip campaign, we'll just do some air cover, etc. And sales might be doing just outbound cadences. But if the sales cycle length is 18 months, right, we need to constantly build that relationship. So what's your best practice, or generally speaking, what works?
Yeah, it's all about staying top of mind. It's all about staying top of mind and adding value at every interaction. And that doesn't mean like, oh, here's another case study 12 times over 12 months. It's, hey, hey, we talked about last week that you recommended I go to this restaurant when I'm in Denver. Here's a picture. I'm going to text you from the restaurant. Hey, thanks for this recommendation. The scallops were great. Right? This is building relationship. It's staying top of mind, but it's also showing them that you're thinking about them, that you're caring about them as a human, that your conversations are not just transactional, that you really care about building the relationship, understanding who they are, and then even taking their advice of getting the scallops at a certain restaurant, right? So I try not to let too much time pass between conversations. Even if we're like, hey, we're going to touch base in 3 months, I'm still going to check in between and send little friendly things like that, like a little coffee from thanks, whatever it might be. I will just be able to send those little touch points to continue to stay top of mind.
And I don't know if it's a dumb question, but I would love to ask you. How many touch points are appropriate? So what's the, let's say, how can we just know that it's not too much?
Well, you should text them once an hour for the whole 12 to 18 months. No, no, it's all about nuance, right? And so there are I always love to be on a texting basis with my key contacts and key stakeholders. But that's not comfortable to everybody. Some people feel like that's, too far. And so I will never text a prospect first. I will always say, hey, if you need anything, shoot me a text. Or if you get to dinner early where we're meeting, shoot me a text. And so I allow them to open that door if they're comfortable with it. And some of them will reach out to me and say, hey, Lauren, I heard this song. Like, I know you and I both love this, Afrobeats DJ. And so they'll send me things like that, again, as a human. And so the more interaction I get in return, if I send them something, they're like, oh my gosh, I love that so much. I know that's something they enjoy. It's all nuanced. If I send that to them and they send me a thumbs up emoji, I'm like, all right, okay, I'll maybe pull back a little bit. But there's no one size fits all answer. And that's why automation doesn't work for a lot of these more enterprise deals.
Love it. Thank you. Also, just touched, let's say, the general principles. I would just love to ask one more thing about specifically engaging the big buying committee group. Let's say you have 7+ people, right? You need to engage with, which kind of means that we need to do constant multi-threading, right? It's just also to create the right perception for everybody that we're not talking that you're just reaching out to CFO or CTO all the time, right, with these touch points. It means that you need to engage with multiple stakeholders all the time and try to stay top of their minds. So quite often inside the buying committee, these people might have different goals, right? Even if there is like one account priority or strategic initiative, these people might have completely different goals. Let's say CMO might care about brands, CFO is caring about ROI, right? Procurement about risk mitigation and compliance and all of that stuff, right? And end users are caring about the workflows, jobs to be done, etc.
Mhm.
So my question is, how do you actually map the stakeholders? Because if you are selling to big enterprises, it's really challenging. And how can you figure out what each of them actually needs?
Yeah. I mean, what I actually do is I have a stakeholder map framework that I use. And this is what we train our clients on, and this is what my team uses. But especially in large enterprise deals, it's important to know the lay of the land. And it's not necessarily just who reports to who, what their tenure has been. There's a lot of political capital that goes into this. The chief of staff is actually the original founder's son. And so while he doesn't have an executive title, he has a lot of influence. Or this person, is a blocker because they used our competitor at their last company. Like all of those things are really important to know. And so I use a kind of a stakeholder mapping framework to say, okay, this isn't the person who's going to be making the decision, but this is the person who has their ear. This is the person who decides the budget. This is the person who can block me. And this is the person who's the champion. So this framework not only maps everybody out and how they fit together as puzzle pieces, but it also identifies where is somebody maybe a champion and you can lean in, and where is somebody a blocker. And a blocker doesn't necessarily mean they don't like you. It just means that maybe they have other priorities, they don't have the budget. And how do you kind of win that person over and transition them either into neutral or being a champion as well?
Love it. And when it comes to multi-threading, is it purely a sales skill, or marketing can help with this as well?
Oh, marketing can absolutely help. And a lot of times this is something where it is very strategic to actually have marketing engage with one contact and sales engage with another. We know that deals are 35%, maybe it's 36% more likely to close if there's more than 3 stakeholders involved. And so, we've all had an enterprise deal. We've been working with a champion that we love, and they get promoted into a different org. And now this is no longer under their purview, or they leave to go to somebody else. And if you lose that relationship that's there, the deal fails. So there's also instances like we talked about the politics where the person who is a big champion for you doesn't really want you to go around them or build other relationships. They want to own this because they want to be the hero. When that's the case, it's awesome for marketing to be able to say, all right, you own the relationship with the CTO, but I'm going to invite the CMO to this roundtable or to this dinner or to this webinar. And I'm going to start building that relationship for you. So it's not you going around them. It's just us kind of circling them with a hug.
So does it mean that marketing should also actively be in the trenches, not just, let's say, help with the infrastructure and just enabling with the content, right?
The way that I structure our team is that marketing is in the trenches and they do work directly with our customers. It doesn't work for every organization. There's different cultural and, stakeholder differences. But if I were to recommend the way to build out an org is absolutely have marketing touch customers, have salespeople understand the data behind it.
Love it. And I have the same opinion, to be honest, but sometimes it's hard to sell, to be honest, but it just depends on the motivation of the leadership. Anyhow, guys, let us know in the chat, please, how did you enjoy this episode? I already have seen some great feedback from Daniel. Thanks a lot for your kind words. I know you're not already here, but maybe you'll be catching up with the second part of the recording. Judy, again, thanks a lot for the jokes and appreciate the feedback as well. Let us know, guys, in the chat, how did you like it? Niklas, wonderful stuff. Thanks a lot. I mentioned, guys, our Full Funnel Summit, and again, Lauren would be presenting there, so don't miss it. The link is pinned and will also, for everybody who is listening to the recording right now, you can find it in the podcast description and the podcast itself. And we have some time for community questions. So I'll just bring some of my favorite questions. Claudia Martins asked us how to escape from just another sales rep is trying to sell to me something. So how to escape from that, probably from the buyer's perception, right? This is another sales rep that is trying to sell me something.
Oh my goodness. So the question is, how do I escape a sales rep, or how do I be a sales rep that can't be escaped? What's the question here?
Yeah, so how to how to escape that perception from the buyer, right? Even if you have the best intention, like you mentioned, let's say you want to do the social selling, you don't want to immediately pitch slapping, right? But you are reaching out and you are a buyer, right? And you can think, oh wow, one more sales rep is trying to pitch me, right? So how to escape from this?
The number one thing is to add value at every interaction. And so, obviously, with running a technology company, I'm a product leader as well as a seller, as well as a janitor and everything else, right? But as a product leader, one of the key concepts in creating technology is if you push a button, it needs to do something. If you give something, if the person using the software does something, they need to get value in return. Otherwise, they're not going to click a button. They're not going to fill out a form. They're not going to do. So you have to give them that satisfaction. It's the same thing in a sales process. If you are going to ask them for a meeting, they need to get value in return. If you're going to send them an email, they need to get value in return. And so some things I used to do would be like, hey, if I'm trying to sell e-commerce to somebody, I will send them an audit and say, hey, I audited your website, 50-point audit. Here's some things that you can do to improve your website, even if you never buy from us. And so then reading my email, them clicking through that, spending an hour looking at it is actually providing them value before I ever ask them to, buy anything from me, before I even broach the conversation of, hey, let's go into a sales process.
So you were just sharing these examples, and the question from Christina came up. Adding value during every interaction. Give some examples, please. So I'm just wondering as well, if you don't mind, I would just quickly follow up here, right? So one of the things, like you said, you have audited the website and you just shared some improvements, which is absolutely valuable asset. But let's say if you are connecting the first time on LinkedIn, right? Is it appropriate to say this immediately? Hey, I'm just reaching out to you because I have audited your website. Isn't it kind of, I'm just thinking about a few sales reps who said like, oh, but they might perceive it's just creepy, right? So they like, and why they even looked at my website to share this. So what are some thoughts here, and what is appropriate?
Yeah, I mean, again, everyone has different, willingness to interact with sales reps. But with that, yeah, the pitch slap, I hate nothing more. I get a couple hundred messages on LinkedIn a day, like a couple hundred. So it's very hard for me to respond. And the ones I do respond to are people that take the time to actually cater a conversation to me. I've had a bunch of people send videos, hey, Lauren, here's your website. If I, redoing websites, and they're like, here's how I would improve your website if you would allow me. And I will always respond when somebody puts the time in, because it's a value exchange. They took the time, which is valuable, to be able to give me some feedback, which is awesome. If somebody sends me a copy and paste of something else, hey, I would like to send you this. Is that okay? I'm like, this is the same copy and paste they send to everybody, and I won't respond. And so my opinion is build a relationship before you make an ask. And I love when people will add me on LinkedIn, interact with my content, comment. I still start seeing their name over and over. And I'm like, all right, I know who Judy is. I know who Christina is. I know who these people are because I see their name, I see their picture, I see their comment. And then when they reach out to me, that's that social selling. We've already started building a relationship, even if it hasn't been a one-to-one interaction. So before reaching out and immediately saying, hey, by the way, like I want to do this for you, it's more of like, hey, I'm getting to know you. I'm getting to see your style. And by the way, I think I can provide value. I did this for you. Take a look. If you'd like to spend 15 minutes going through it, would love to have that conversation. And that's just one way to do it.
Just wanted to quickly follow up, from the perspective of sales reps who would say, yeah, that makes perfect sense for people who are selling to salespeople or to marketing people because they're active on LinkedIn. But what if my buyers are not posting anything, right? Or in the best case, they just republish, the HR's post we are hiring, or like the corporate awards, from the company's LinkedIn page. What would you say?
Yeah. So it's all about meeting them where they are. If they're not posting content, then that's not, obviously you're not going to be commenting on their company's webpage all the time and being like, wow, I love this great marketing copy that, is out there. It's meeting them where they are. Are they going to local chamber meetings? Are they going to a volunteer event? If they seem like they are more stoic and reserved, then you want to maybe just send them an email. But it's all about showing up differently and catering it to them. And so some ways I like to think outside the box is maybe sending them a Loom video. That's a little bit different than an email. A Loom video of you talking to them as a human, not reading off of a script, saying like, hey, I looked at your website. I think this is awesome. By the way, here's some things that I think that we could do to help you. If this is of interest, great. We'd love to have a conversation. If not, we'd love to just support you whatever way possible. So, whether it's a Loom video, a voice note on LinkedIn, whether it's sending them a coffee, something just a little bit different outside the box.
Love it. Thank you so much. And let's pick up the last question, which is quite a long one from Gaurav. What goes in marketing created playbook? What are the parts of this doc? What is inside? What in it to include, and in what depths which sales actually uses? I have learned that audits work better and playbooks get old very quickly and no one uses, but audits are highly focused and relevant.
Yeah, this is where AI is a beautiful thing, is because playbooks do get old quickly. And, the way that we work with organizations is whether it's through the Zinnia actual platform or through custom GPTs, custom agents, custom workflows, we will say, hey, we're going to tap into all of the case studies that you guys have. We'll build out an agentic workflow to say, hi, I need a case study for this customer. What's relevant here according to the size, the industry, the problem statement, things like that. So playbooks can be dynamic now in the day and age of AI. But I would say the biggest thing that sales reps want to know is how do you cater a conversation to somebody in a way that they would want to hear it? And so obviously we're in the weeds so often that marketing can do such a good job of pulling us out of the weeds and to be able to say, yes, here's here's all the features and benefits, but when do I use each for what? And so, like I said, catering those playbooks to personas. So this is a CMO who is really bubbly out there, social selling. Here's how you interact with them. And here's some ideas for what to do. So if they're bubbly, outgoing, crack a joke, make a comment on their LinkedIn and stand out, be different, be funny. If they seem to be more reserved, maybe something the playbook could be, here's a ROI calculator. Here is a pre-canned thing that is a little bit more stoic, right? And so it's giving them different solutions, not necessarily copy and pasting, but here's different ideas for how to stand out and be different for each of these personas.
Love it. Thank you so much. And I think we have covered all of the questions. So that was a fantastic chat. I appreciate you coming today and answering all of these questions. And you guys as well, thanks a lot for asking fantastic questions, as it helps us a lot to prepare for the podcast, to make it valuable for you, first of all. So with that being said, as I mentioned, sign up for our summit. You have the link in the chat, and I will drop one more time the link to Lauren's LinkedIn profile and her product, Zinnia, the sales acceleration platform, which you can check. And Lauren already mentioned it. It helps a lot your sales teams to build the right point of view and win the deals. Again, the link is pinned right now, so check it out and share with your sales teams. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Lauren, for coming today, and looking forward to your talk.
Yes, thanks so much. It was fun.
Thank you. Have a good rest of the day, everybody. See you soon. Cheers.